The Homeschool Expo is Friday and Saturday at 9 o'clock, 2 days at Camp Jordan in East Ridge. It's going to be a great event. I'll be there at the table of the sponsoring organization, which is the Homeschool Association here in Chattanooga. If you would like to learn more about the free market in education, by all means, come by. It's $8 per family for 2 days, only $8 for 2 days. On Saturday, it will last till 6, and on Friday, it will last till 6, and on Saturday till 4. There'll be 70 exhibitors. There are many talks, many lectures about math, science, manipulables, books, authors, ideas for getting into college, and the like. Often about 1,000 families attend. They come from long distances to what is the best, probably the best homeschool expo, also curriculum fair, it's called, in the Southeast. This is David Tulis. Thank you for giving us just a minute of your time. A graduate from that non-system of home education is Andra Kramer. She runs a little business called Andra's Finds. She's one of five children in her family. She has 4 brothers, and her whole life in learning and teaching was at home and through many sources. And here she is now at age 20, a Clevelander. She's been in Cleveland since age 8. She's now 20 years old and runs her own business for the past year. And what's interesting about Andra is that she's hard to get a hold of. I had to wait a long time to get her on my calendar. And if you're a young business person, it's great to be able to say, well, sorry, sir, I just really can't do an interview with you because I'm so busy with my customers. And her name is Andra Kramer. So Andra, how did you get into this field of being a seamstress? What is it that you do, and how did you get into this area?
Well, honestly, originally, I always wanted a business ever since I was little, and I learned to sew when I was about 9 years old, so I've been sewing for 11 years total, and it's not really something I considered until I got to that senior year of high school and realized I really had a gift for it. I would pull out patterns, and I could kind of decipher just based on the shapes and things how to put clothes together, and I remember realizing the moment when I decided to do alterations. I actually went to a store and found a dress that I just absolutely loved, but I decided it was too expensive for my budget. So I actually went home and sketched out the dress and took it apart in my mind and made a pattern and actually ended up making the dress. And that's when I realized I really just had a gift for doing alterations and tailoring. So, and it's really it's been a huge blessing. I tell a lot of people I feel like I am their fairy godmother. I have people come in who bring me things that just don't fit. They don't look right. They make you look 10 pounds heavier, or you gain 10 pounds and you need a little bit of breathing room. They bring them to me, and somehow magically with my needle and thread, I pull them out and make them work. So I really do feel like a fairy godmother.
Well, I'm holding here in my hand for the viewer on YouTube and on Facebook, a dress. It's kind of a very fine looking dress for a ball or maybe a graduation. Say something about this dress and maybe the customer who came to you and how that customer found you, Andra Kramer.
Yeah, definitely. I actually work with my business partners with locally Ever After Bridal. We're both in Cleveland and in Chattanooga. And so they send me a lot of formal wear. So I work with a lot of suits and a lot of prom, bridal, mother of the bride, mother of the groom kind of dresses, as well as suits and things like this one here. That's kind of what I specialize in.
This looks like a boy's jacket in my hand. A short, dark blue jacket. Now, what was wrong with this jacket? What did you do to it?
Well, this one was actually, it was a little bit too big for the person who was wearing it. So what I did is actually took it in the back side seams, which actually ended up saving my customer money. So that, because most tailors, when they take things in on the sides. And that usually means taking off the sleeves of a jacket, having to put them back on, which not only takes extra time, but it takes, you have to pay me extra money because I've had extra time put into this. So I actually took it in the back and made it fit without having that extra time put in.
Well, how much did the customer save? Or the customer's mom, I guess, in this case.
Yeah, they ended up saving probably at least $15 to $30, just depending on which seamstress you go to. So. And that's overall my clients, when they come to me, they usually save quite a bit of money just because I work, when I work, I always look for the simpler way to do things, the ways that don't make sense. I'm not just trying, I'm not a robot. A lot of seamstresses, just kind of do the same thing, same general thing. They only do this, they only do that, versus I kind of use my creativity to make things fit you. So
this is David Tulis. Thanks for giving us just a couple of minutes of your time here. We're talking with Andra Kramer. She runs her own little enterprise called Andra's Finds. She was homeschooled her whole life, and she's now 20 and is pursuing her genius and her gifts. Now, Andra, did tailors out there give you some inspiration? For example, Patty King in Rossville. Who is Patty King, and what did she teach you?
She is actually another seamstress with her own business. She works, her business is called King Creations, and she actually gave me lessons when I first started learning alterations. So she kind of taught me a little bit of the basics, and gave me kind of my first opportunity, as a lot of people didn't really want me kind of cutting in on their business, and coming in as a young person to steal all of their clients, they thought. You're
suggesting that most of the people who do alterations are maybe seniors past 50.
Yes, definitely. And when I was definitely looking for somebody who to kind of teach me so that I could learn these, that's the problem I had, is a lot of people were older and it took forever for me to get in contact with them. And then they often did not want me coming in because they thought I would just steal their clients.
But Patty King was an exception. She did not see you as a threat.
No, she didn't. And that was kind of my first opportunity. So I'm really thankful for her for taking me on and actually showing me the way.
Now you live in Cleveland. That was on days you went for instruction. Did you spend the whole day with Patty King, or just a couple hours? How many times did you go down there for instruction?
Normally I would just spend probably about 5 hours a week. I didn't spend a lot of time, but she'd usually teach me something, and then I would go home and practice it on my own. Either with my own clothes, or I would run to a thrift store and buy something for 50 cents, $3, and play around with it.
Now, is there another seamstress or tailor you studied under, Andra Kramer?
Yeah, there is actually. After I worked with Patty for a long time and kind of learned all that she could give me, I actually met a seamstress in Cleveland, which is where I live, who owns her own business, is actually very young as well. She's about 25 right now. And her name is Tatum Brinkman. She owns So Cheerful. And she actually took me on, and she was awesome because not only did she teach me the techniques to do the actual tailoring, but she also taught me a lot of the business side, how to pay taxes, how to work with QuickBooks, some of the more difficult things to kind of catch on to.
Now, did Tatum do these things in your instruction, Andra, because she cared for you, or did you hire her for this? Was it a business transaction for Tatum Brinkman at So Cheerful in Cleveland to have you there, or was it simply maybe you were fellow Christians, or maybe she was a member of your church? How did you make that connection? What kind of relationship was it?
Well, it was definitely, we're still friends. It was a very personal relationship, and I got to know her really well. But we actually met through a friend of mine getting alterations from her. And she met this lady and just realized she couldn't believe that Tatum was so young and doing what I do, and with the same amount of skill level about as I do. So she actually, my friend introduced us, brought me to her alterations appointments. And Tatum told me it kind of freaked her out because she thought I was going to be the friend who was going to criticize everything that she was doing. And we actually met, and she ended up hiring me on like as an intern to kind of learn. And she would, pay me just a very minimal amount, but just to learn and to teach.
And as the intern, you didn't have to pay her for the instruction. She sort of paid you because you did end up giving her help, at least on the margins, right? Of her business.
Yes, she ended up paying me to actually work there. So, and there were a couple of learning instances where she wouldn't, but overall, I just kind of learned underneath her.
Now, are you suggesting to my listener that the apprenticeship model has value in other fields than the seamstress and clothing repair and improvement field?
It definitely does. You get more hands-on work versus in the classroom, or even I took some sewing and tailoring classes online. I was more hands-on with this apprenticeship, and I could more learn and understand, and I could try to solve things in my own way rather than having to read a book or watch a video and fill out papers.
So you did watch videos, Andra?
I did. I took some online classes, and they had me write papers. They had me watch videos. They had me send in homework, and it just wasn't. It didn't work very well. I wasn't able to learn and have things stick in my mind very well.
Well, you say turn in homework. How is that done in an online context?
I would mail some of my projects in to the companies, or I would I would send pictures. I would take detailed pictures and then email them to the teachers. And then they would either ask for more detailed pictures or they could, grade me based on what they saw.
And when you graduated, what did you leave with in hand?
I honestly did not really leave with anything aside from them sending me something saying, "Congratulations, you finished this course." And
so really you're a young entrepreneur. You effectively, you have, I guess, the equivalent of a high school diploma or something like that, or not. In homeschooling, you don't necessarily need that, do you?
Not really. I do have a diploma, and I have graduated. I graduated at the age of 17, and I was homeschooled all the way from preschool to high school. And I actually dual enrolled at a couple of universities just to kind of see if that's where I needed, and if I needed a business degree, because I didn't know starting out exactly how to run a business. So I looked into that and just figured out it wasn't a good fit.
Well, why was university life or college life, say at Chat State or Cleveland State, worth the trouble? Why did it not fit for you, Andra?
They were honestly teaching me a lot of things that I ended up either learning from Tatum Brinkman, or actually downloaded different guides. I read books. I actually went to the Small Business Administration there in Cleveland, and they gave me papers that could help about business plans and things that at college I wasn't really going to get in depth with until probably my junior or senior year, which is about 3 years in, and I didn't see really the point to wasting 3 years when I could get the same information just from other sources. And you would have been short some thousand. Did you figure out how many thousands you saved in not going the university or college route? I started, but it kind of scared me. It was a little bit scary once I started calculating. Past $25,000? Oh, definitely. And you might have been thought it necessary to have debt also in getting that college paper, right? Right. I probably would have racked up quite an amount of debt just trying to get a degree that honestly wouldn't even really taught me how to get online and pay all of my sales taxes, all of these. It wouldn't have given me that kind of information. Well, many people think, my listener has this problem, Andrew. He thinks that somehow the university is what his teen children need to be going toward. It's a default position that to be someone, you have to study either a 2-year college to get an associate's degree, or at least a Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Arts degree, which is 4 years usually, keeping you out of the workforce, keeping you away from the real world, saddling you with costs or debts. Is there something? Why do people think that? Why do we have a default thinking in this direction? And my listener particularly. I think years ago, it was important to go and get a degree, and it would set you apart in the business world. But what we're now finding is that a lot of people are going to college, getting degrees, and they still have no idea how to work in their fields. So what instead I'm finding is you need more experience. If you can just get out into the working world, you don't necessarily need that college degree. And if you have that ability to teach yourself and decide, okay, I am going to go for this, I am going to teach myself this, you can easily do it. You don't have to have a teacher over you telling you exactly what to do to get a degree, especially for opening your own business. You don't need a business degree. Really, I mean, my first year, this whole first year, I made many mistakes. And it was just a kind of a learning process. I just sought help. I looked for people who had their own businesses, just to ask them, hey, how do you do this? Because I have no idea. And honestly, I Googled a lot. I would get on, if I got a piece of paper from the state of Tennessee or from the government or wherever, and I didn't know what it was, I would Google it just because it was there. Google is there to be used. And I figured out a lot that way, all on my own. Now, you say you made mistakes as you went. That is kind of the classroom of experience, and your customers are your teachers. And sometimes you make a mistake. You have to eat something. Meaning you have to take the loss and be cheerful about it, and not at any point let the customer think that he or she has done something wrong, or he or she has done you a disservice by presenting you with a tough alteration project, right? Right. Yeah, and I haven't had much problems necessarily actually in the realm of experience of sewing, of doing alterations, of doing that kind of thing. Most people have been very understanding, and if I was ever uncertain, like I said, I would get online and I would try to find other people who had worked with this, Or I would ask people like Tatum, or I've got another seamstress in the name of Summer, who does fitted stitches, bridal alterations, and she's been a huge help to me, just guiding me along.
This is David Tulis. We do thank you for giving us just a minute of your time here. We're talking with Andra Kramer, who runs Andra's Finds. Her number is 716-7704 if you need alterations or repair work of the seamstress kind. Your wife perhaps, or your daughter might need some adjustments made on a fine dress. Andra is there to help her or you. She's 20 years old and is part of an earlier homeschool graduation class. This weekend there's the Homeschool Expo, Friday and Saturday at Camp Jordan in East Ridge. There'll be 70 exhibitors, many talks and lectures on all kinds of educational topics. There's history, software, math, reading, overcoming problems, pitches by schools and colleges at this event. Also, it's the Homeschool Expo. You can go to csthea.org to find out more. That's csthea.org. Andra, how do you market your business in the age of digital platforms? What are you doing?
Honestly, I don't do a whole lot in terms of digital. I do have a Facebook page, and I do have an Instagram that a lot of people will follow. But usually I rely on word of mouth just because sometimes old school is best. I satisfy my clients, and I constantly encourage them to go out to use hashtags, to do Facebook posts, to mention me whenever, somebody wears the dress or anything. And if they're satisfied with the job, they're always more than happy to do any of that for me.
Do you spend money boosting Facebook posts about your latest exploit with the sewing machine?
I actually don't. I don't do any boosting. I don't spend money on advertisements. Really, like I said, word of mouth, and constantly telling my clients, if I meet even with a bride who I'll meet with like 4 appointments, every single appointment, I'll try to mention something about saying, something on Facebook. Send me pictures so I can share them, and post you back or tag you back, or I can share your posts and things like that.
What has your family said about your business, Andra?
They have been very encouraging. They were a little bit skeptical about not going to college and not following that path, just because it is so prevalent in our culture to go to college and to get a degree. But once the business started rolling in, and once I worked out a lot of those partnerships, which brought in a lot more revenue, they loved it. And now they constantly are going around telling people they're very proud of me. So they're constantly going around telling everybody who I am and what I do.
Well, It's interesting to note that when I try to get Andra on the program, ordinarily I can get people to come on within 4 or 5 days, but she said she looked at her calendar and she kept me waiting there, tapping my pen. She said, I can come in 2 weeks. So Andra, you're someone who has such a busy schedule that I had to wait 2 weeks to get you on the program. And we're glad that you, our listener, are giving us just a minute or two of your time. We're talking with Andra Kramer. She runs Andra's Finds, and you can reach her at 716-7704. She's a seamstress, 20 years old, and runs her own business. We're live on Facebook and live on YouTube. What is something you've learned about dealing with the customer, Andra? Because the customer is first. What's the main lesson that would be useful for my listener to hear?
Well, honestly, the main thing is just to keep the customer happy. It really is all about the customer, and the customer is always right. Now, you don't always tell them if they're wrong. You tell them that they're right. You just kind of have to find creative solutions to problems. And I've definitely dealt with plenty of difficult customers. In fact, I held a job before I actually did this, and that taught me a lot to deal with difficult people.
Well, how do you do? What's the key?
The key is to keep smiling. Kendra from Ever After Bridal is always telling me, kill them with kindness and just keep smiling. And that's what I do, and people tell me that they very much appreciate that. They see it as a positive outlook no matter what. And so I just keep smiling.
When you say that, I'm thinking of a passage in a C.S. Lewis book where he says that that the act of smiling changes your internal spirit. It changes your thinking of the person with whom you're speaking. The person with whom you're speaking is unhappy, grumbling, dour looking, maybe has a lot of gray or a lot of wrinkles, and just nothing is really right for this person. But if you smile, it changes the way you speak to that person. Your smile makes you loving and gracious and thankful for the good comments, and being able to say, "What a great point that you've made about my mistake," and
right.
And so you have that. It's really about the relationship.
It really is. And that's what my business is all about, is building relationships through one-on-one appointments with people to not only change clothes, but also to just to help them along. So, and I absolutely love it. You know, I am changing people through my business.
Well, this is David Tulis. I just thank you for giving us a couple minutes of time here. I'm holding up the jacket that has been, voice jacket improved by Andra Kramer for the family. She pulled in the sides and did it in a novel way. She does that for dresses and all kinds of other garb. Andra, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, David.
Andra Kramer runs Andra's Finds, a 20-year-old with her own business, not a college or school type, but self-taught in many, many ways, and learning from her betters in her field as an apprentice. David Tulis.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2,